You're back with another one. This time we got When Anime Villains Fought Each Other by VinnyTube. And yeah, let's get to it. Let's get right to it. I really got nothing to say. Let's go. Let's get in there. Like, comment, subscribe, you know?
Greetings, mere mortals. In this video, I'll be presenting a rather grandiose list of the utmost importance, for it is today where we shine the spotlight on our grandest villains in the anime world. Yes, we'll be taking a deep dive into the villainous side of the anime world, because when you're in a show with a lot of bad guys and their inflated egos, there is only room for one, isn't there? Let's take a look at some of my favorite villain versus villain showdowns in anime. We start off with Hunter x Hunter. The Chimera Ants are among the more interesting villains in the series. Their competition for the spot? The Phantom Troop. They both have their charismatic members who have a lot of redeeming aspects to their character in terms of morality, or in the case of Hisoka, just plain entertainment. However, it's hard to root for either side when the sadistic torture technician Phaethon battles the selfish and conceited Zazan. Like the assassin that he is, Phaethon approaches the fight with more trickery and cunning, something that hopefully puts him on par with Zazan's sheer power. In a straight-up battle, little can be done to compensate for the difference in physical prowess. However, Phaethon's pain packer ends up being the great equalizer. In the battle of the two villains, I find Phaethon the lesser evil, at least for the moment anyway. It's quite an entertaining fight that I can confidently call one of the highlights of the arc. Shigaraki vs. Rudestro is up next.
Whoa, when was this?
My Hero Academia has no shortage of villains. However, when it comes to the head honchos at the top of the food chain, there can only be room for one. Vying for the whole left by All For One's defeat, the League of Villains Shigaraki goes on a collision course with leader of the Meta Liberation Army, taking their own underlings with them in a conflict that leaves the city at the mercy of their destructive powers. The whole arc is full of villain versus villain fights, something that I didn't expect out of a shonen. Despite having the more sinister goal, I think that Shigaraki comes off as a more charismatic one, and thus the one who I'm inclined to side with in this conflict due to having a more compelling backstory. The fight itself is a spectacle that you'd be better off watching for yourself. There's no shortage of drama, and it seems that the two titans will keep throwing haymakers at each other, all leading to a thrilling conclusion.
He should really be the favorite in any
we
fight.
Have Kaido
I touch you,
versus
you're
Big
dead.
Mom. Kaido and Big Mom. Wouldn't the two peak villains eventually put fans in a power level debate on who's the strongest and baddest pirate of them all? Well, fans of power level debates, you won't have to wait any longer. Episode 950 of One Piece is a landmark episode as both of these gargantuan forces finally clash. The heavens split and the earth shakes as the two powerhouses collide, throwing their abilities at each other. You know, I personally love how Kaido's Conqueror Haki was depicted in the anime, but Big Mom's responses aren't too shabby either. She holds her ground rather magnificently, despite the eye test favoring Kaido at first glance. But hey, why fight each other when you can just form an alliance and conquer the world? Thus, the two put their differences aside and give birth to an unholy alliance, one that will shake the world to its core. Watch out.
For now. For about a couple hours. Or days,
With this extensive rogues gallery, it's no surprise that JoJo has one of these villain face-offs.
I didn't actually expect that.
Let's take something from recent history now, shall we? Remember the time when Doppio battled Risotto in Golden Wind? It's a whole arc in itself.
Risotto
I still
was
get excited seeing
character.
Metallica take on King Crimson. It's as wacky as you'd expect any JoJo fight to be, but it's got more layers of awesomeness when you look at it in depth. There's the awesome revelation of Metallica's power as well as Doppio's true identity. The fight is also a showcase of how dangerous its iron manipulation really is. It seems that all hope is lost for Doppio before Aerosmith enters the fray, turning the tides of the battle for good. Risotto gets offered mercy, but I like how he just says screw it and makes a defiant last stand even on the verge of death. It's a treat of a villain fight, being written as more of a scrappy underdog duel that ends with a dramatic turnaround of epic proportions.
If it wasn't for that stupid little bomber, BS, bruh. I was so mad at that too. It was like, bruh.
We've got fights aplenty coming ahead, but what I'm most concerned for is the fight that involves us. Now that is our battle against hackers in the battlefield called the internet. That's why I present to you our #1 weapon against hackers or unpleasant personalities looking to extract our data. the sponsor.
Especially that JoJo's one. I was not expecting that. Ain't no way. This is a long ass
Express
ad. Okay, I was about to
For Fate's
say.
representative, it's actually a pretty close call for me. I wasn't sure whether I'd give this the nod over Gilgamesh versus Berserker. In the end, this did win. Why, you ask? Well, Gilgamesh is brash and arrogant, while Berserker is just a force of nature looking to kill our protagonist. However, I don't think either of them are actually evil in their core. The same can't be said of our two combatants here, the fallen priest and unholy patriarch of the Martos. This feud between the two villains stretched through the Three Heavens Fields movie, but they would finally get their hands on each other in Spring Song. Assisted by Assassin, Zoken tries to maneuver his pieces and get rid of Kirei, only for the priest to outsmart him and finally
Kirei was
exercise
a
his
straight
body.
up
Now, it's
villain.
not as grand
Okay.
as Gilgamesh versus
That makes sense.
Berserker, but I feel that this battle symbolizes what I like about evil versus evil battles. Instead of a straight up battle of strength, this long confrontation is more of a series of mind games and careful
Yeah,
plotting.
so I like to see Zoken dying for the first out of the 3 times in that movie.
One Punch Man has one of these
Movies.
two. Speeder Sound Sonic and Deep Sea King are up next. There are few things bigger than a humongous supervillain's ego, and we see that in full display when Deep Sea King, coming off a solid win, dares Sonic to defy him. Having just as big of an ego as the gargantuan Deep Sea King, Sonic obviously responds in kind, resulting in an impromptu face-off between the two fighters with completely different profiles. In a similar vein to Phaethon and Zazan, we have a speed versus power fight here. Sonic also starts off on the offensive quick, and despite everything that Deep Sea King can throw at him, he keeps dodging or outmaneuvering them. Like Zazan, Deep Sea King unleashes an empowered form that allows him to finally get his hands on Sonic, only to have his plan thwarted again. The ninja having escaped his grasp and swearing victory next time. Classic fast-paced action here. It's a fight that's short but sweet, helped a lot by One Punch Man's excellent animation. Gintama has one hell of a villain versus villain fight in Takasugi versus Oboro. We've got yet another quickie in Takasugi versus Oboro's battle towards the end of the Rakuyo decisive battle arc. Towards the waning moments of the arc, after Oboro had gone through a hell of a gauntlet which included the likes of the Shinsengumi and Gintoki, he encounters his final opponent, Takasugi. The fight's just as you'd expect from two high-tier fighters. Lots of sword clashes and physical blows. There's the overarching theme of an eye for an eye, which holds a lot more weight given Oboro's backstory. The two finally clash quick draw style, with Takasugi coming out on top. But dying takes a toll, you know. But I think that in terms of the narrative, it's better to have the fight to be direct and to the point. The accompanying backstory also doubles as a fitting and touching
There's
farewell
trade
for
swords,
Oboro.
like,
Some
aye.
wonky animation here and there doesn't detract too much from the battle and the story overall.
とくと見ました先生自慢の弟ですよ
Dang.
We cap off this list with something from FMA, Greed versus Wrath.
Greed. I forgot about Greed.
Among the villains in FMA, I'm personally
He's like my
partial
third
to
favorite
Greed.
in
There's
this-
just something
in this
about
show.
that wild card nature of his that attracts me so much. He's also got one hell of a character story
There's
to
so
tell
many
once
good
the events
characters
of
in
the
this show,
series
though.
are done, and it's his unpredictability that opens the door to interesting fights like the one he had versus Wrath. On paper, Wrath should have the upper hand, but Greed has Ling's guidance to help him, as well as lots and lots of backup. It's really cool how the fight makes it seem that the two villains can go toe-to-toe with one another, despite one supposedly being a lot stronger if we look at storyline importance. Instead, Greed forces Wrath to go deep into his bag of tricks, activates his eye power, only for him to actually find a way to actually overcome the ultimate eye. It's a touch-and-go fight full of momentum shifts, and while it's not as memorable as any of Mustang's outbursts or Wrath's best fights, it's a pretty good example of villain versus villain done right. This is also a fight that happens en route to Greed's final redemption, if you can call it that, so Greed fans should find this fight extra
No, yeah,
special.
that's his final redemption. Also, he doesn't need the ultimate eye.
which is your
I don't
favorite
even
villain
know
versus-
what the ultimate eye ever did. Honestly, the ultimate eye was just like, it was just kind of a thing they really said, and then he lost his eye, and it was like, I'm still as good as you know. Like, I had it covered up. I took it off for a little bit. It got cut out. I'm still as good. You ain't gonna mess with me. Ahsoka versus Corolla, bro. I need Hunter x Hunter just to be. I need them to just do it all, bro. I need Hunter x Hunter back. I need Hunter x Hunter back. All right, I'm out. I'm about to go watch that episode of My Hero. That I'm about to finish the season because I didn't even know that Shigaraki was fighting anybody. So I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.